Motion verbs have a reputation as being kind of challenging, so let's start with some very easy and sensible questions. First, are these two things the same or different? Well, there are some similarities. They're both shapes, they're both the same color, but the shapes are different enough that English speakers seem to feel it's worth using different words for these two things, so we'll call one a square and the other a circle. Russians have also noticed the differences between the two shapes, and so they also have two words for them, kvadrat and krug. Now, how about these two things? Well, both are objects, they have mass, but I think most people would agree that they're different enough that it makes sense to use different words for these two. So we say hedgehog for one and space station for the other one. Russians have also noticed the differences between the two, so in Russian we'll call one yosh and the other космическая станция. And one more comparison. Are these the same or are they different? Again, there are some similarities. Both have color, both are shapes, but let's zero in on one big difference. On the top, we've got a shape that suggests motion in one direction. The shape on the bottom suggests motion in more than one direction. And as far as Russian grammar is concerned, this is every bit as important as the difference between a hedgehog and a space station. So let's develop this a little bit more. Motion in more than one direction could cover a few different scenarios. Consider a round trip, or multiple round trips, or aimless motion, or the potential to move around with no particular destination. We can think of all of these as opposed to motion in a single general direction. So let's please draw a thick mental line between these two groups. Because for Russian, they are just as distinct as the circles and squares and the hedgehogs and space stations that we've just been looking at. So, just as English has different words for these shapes, so does Russian. Different words for hedgehogs and space stations, yosh, космическая станция. Russian, very sensibly, has a word for going in one direction, идти, and a different word for going in more than one direction, ходить. And I think English is a little odd here in that we often use the same word, go, for all sorts of different situations. You can go into a room, you can go to Mars, you can go by car, you can go on foot, you can go in one direction, you can go in many directions. All of these different actions are just going in English. But in Russian, the difference between motion in one direction and motion in different directions is really fundamental. In fact, later on you'll see it mapped onto other concepts like running, swimming, flying, and carrying too. Let's look at some examples of going in one direction in the present tense. Куда ты идешь? Иду в кафе. Он идет домой. In all of these examples, we're talking about moving in one general direction. In English, we could also use expressions like I'm headed to or he's on his way to. It may be a round trip eventually, but right now we're just talking about being headed in one direction. So in Russian, we'll use the verb идти. What about ходить then? We know that ходить expresses multidirectional motion, but can you really be coming and going at a given moment? Of course not. So there is an additional nuance here. Using ходить in the present makes a general statement about repeated round trips. Examples. Он ходит в школу. Мы каждый день ходим в кафе. Я иногда хожу в библиотеку. Note that there's no special word for making a single round trip in the present, since you can't really be coming and going at the same moment anyway. Now, please keep in mind that this is just a basic introduction to motion verbs. We haven't yet touched on the past tense of these verbs, or how to talk about going someplace by vehicle. But this concept of unidirectional versus multidirectional motion is a very important first step. Summing up, Russian distinguishes between circles and squares, so we have different words for krug and kvadrat. Hedgehogs and space stations are quite different, so we have the words yosh versus космическая станция. And going in many directions, ходить, is very different from going in one direction, идти. So unidirectional motion without a vehicle is expressed with идти. In the present tense, идти expresses motion in one direction, like being on your way or being headed someplace. Multidirectional motion, also without a vehicle, is expressed with ходить. And ходить in the present tense is used to express multiple round trips.